this video, you will learn 3 easy strategies to recover quickly when you get stuck speaking English, especially in professional settings. I will also share how you can practice to avoid getting stuck. Hello everyone, my name is Carrie. I spent 13 years as a conference interpreter working with leaders like Warren Buffett and Ray Dalio, and for organizations like the UN and Goldman Sachs. Now I coach busy professionals like you to improve their English communication skills and build more confidence at work. One of the most common questions I get is, Carrie, how can I speak English without getting stuck? This question reveals a common goal shared by a lot of people: to never get stuck when speaking English. I completely understand this goal. Getting stuck feels horrible, especially in important meetings. But if you set a goal of never getting stuck, you've already failed. Why? Because everybody gets stuck sometimes, even the best speakers in the world. Sometimes you need time to think, sometimes your brain goes blank, and sometimes unexpected things happen, like a bird flew into the conference room. Believe it or not, it actually happened before. You will never reach a level where you never get stuck. So instead of chasing that impossible perfection, let's focus on a smart 2-part strategy. Part number 1, prevention, finding ways to reduce getting stuck as much as possible. Part 2 is recovery, learning how to handle getting stuck smoothly when it happens. Both are very, very important because, as I mentioned earlier, getting stuck is very normal, and a very strong recovery can make you appear experienced, professional, and very confident. In this video, I'll cover both parts of the strategy, but I'll spend more time on recovery techniques because most people overlook this super important skill. Okay, now let's start with part 1. Prevention. One of the best ways to improve fluency and avoid getting stuck is an exercise called reading out loud. Most of the time you get stuck because of the words or phrases are right there on the tip of your tongue, but you are not so sure about the grammar, about the pronunciation, the sentence structure, so you hesitate, you pause, and then, you got stuck. That's where reading out loud can really help. When you practice reading out loud every single day, you get very familiar with the words, the pronunciation, the phrases, the sentence structure, so they roll off of your tongue when you actually speak English. This is how you prevent getting stuck in the first place. I've talked about reading out loud in other videos many times because I truly believe it is one of the best exercises that you should do every single day. I won't go into details here. If you want to learn more about it, check out this video where I explain reading out loud further. Now, let's get to the most important part. What to do when you do get stuck. How do you recover? Because it's definitely going to happen. I'll walk you through 3 common situations Chinese professionals face repeatedly when speaking English, and share strategies and examples of phrases you can say in each one. And make sure you stick around until the end because knowing what to say is just the first step. There's one more key thing you need to do to make all the strategies, all the words really work. Scenario number 1, when you can't find the words or phrases. We've all been there. You are in the middle of speaking and suddenly the word you need is just not there. Maybe you forgot that word, or maybe you've never learned how to say that word in English before. Here's how to handle it like a pro. First, buy yourself some time. You can say phrases like, I'm trying to find the right word, or it's on the tip of my tongue. These phrases not only give you a moment to think, but also make your pause look very natural and very professional. But if the word still doesn't come to you after thinking, don't stop and stay stuck. Many Chinese professionals tend to do this, but that's the wrong approach. Instead, pivot or switch to describe what you mean. You can say, it's the thing that you blah blah blah, or it's like when you blah blah blah. So basically, you are explaining what you mean and giving people examples. Usually, one of the 2 things will happen. Either someone will jump in and help you with the word, or they will get what you mean and you can just keep going without any awkwardness. Scenario number 2. When you need time to think. A lot of times in professional settings, you get stuck not because of language, but because you need a moment to think, especially in meetings when your boss and your client ask for your opinion on something very new. You need a few seconds to organize your thoughts before you give them a meaningful response. In this situation, some people stay silent and then get stuck. That's not the best approach. Instead, let people know what you are doing in a very smart and professional way. You can say, let me think about how best to develop this point. Or, I have a thought here, but I want to frame it properly. Give me a moment to organize this idea. These phrases turn an awkward pause into a moment where you appear very thoughtful and very deliberate. You have to understand this. Taking time to think isn't a weakness. It shows you care about giving people a clear and well-considered response. Scenario number 2. When your mind goes completely blank. Sometimes your mind does that. It goes completely blank. Maybe you got too excited and you lost your train of thought, or maybe you get distracted by a question, or maybe you just suddenly forgot what you were going to say next. Most people panic in the situation and then get stuck, but there is a smarter way to handle it. Start by acknowledging, by telling people what's happening with a little bit of humor. You can say, "Excuse me, I apologize. My brain just decided to take an unscheduled break. I can't remember what I was going to say next. Give me a second to get back on track." After several seconds of searching, if you still can't remember what you were about to say, you have 2 options here. Option number 1, move on to the next point. You can say, "Let me move to the next point, and we can circle back if my earlier thought comes back." Option number 2, you can engage your audience. You can say, "While I gather my thoughts, what do you think of what we've covered so far? Do you have any questions?" Both options turn what could be a very awkward moment into an opportunity. You can either keep the conversation going or you can get your audience involved. Now, here's the most important part. Knowing what to say isn't enough. You need to practice these phrases, these strategies, before you actually need them. Don't wait until your next important presentation or meeting to try them out for the first time. Practice when you are preparing for your presentation, when you are preparing for your speech. Practice when you are doing casual English conversation with your colleagues, with your clients, and practice until these phrases feel natural, effortless to you. Why is practice so important? Because when you can say these phrases confidently and fluently, it completely changes how others see you. Instead of looking awkward when you get stuck, you come across as professional, experienced, and confident. To make things easier for you, I put together a free guide with all the phrases we've covered today, plus many more that I use with my coaching clients. You can download the free guide using the link below.